Hi guys, Rachel here from Etched Marketing and Etched Marketing Academy. This week's training is all about how much money do I need to start a business? It's a question everybody asks, and it's something that we need to address. So you're going to get answers. If you ask people, how much money do I need to start a business? You're going to get answers from nothing to thousands of dollars. And I don't know about you, when I started my business, I didn't want to invest a ton. I wanted to test my idea. I wanted to do it as reasonably as possible and then build as I grew. And that's exactly what I did. So that's what we're going to talk about today is what does it really take? So on average, the Small Business Administration says that the average micro business, which is what most of us have, if we're building a business as solopreneurs or a solopreneur with a VA, which is a virtual assistant, if you're not familiar with that term yet, most of us, if you're building it in your home, you're considered a micro business. On average, people spend about $3,000 to start a micro business. Now, I can tell you, I didn't spend that much when I first started because I wanted my business to be able to cash flow my growth. So, what are the things that you really need to start a business? You need to invest some time because you need to get to know who your ideal customer is. And I know you hear me talk about this constantly, but this is really, truly the single most important thing that you can do when you're building a business is to figure out who your ideal customer is. What do they need? More importantly, what do they want from you? Because what you're going to learn is that so often what they need is not what they want. So we have to get to know them and we have to understand what they want from us. Then we need to build our products and services. We need to design them with our ideal customer in mind. What is it that they want that we want to offer? There has to be a correlation between the two. If we're offering what we think they need, but they don't want it, they're not going to buy. So we've got to do that research in the beginning. And the good news is that research doesn't really cost you anything financially. It costs you time talking to people. And you may be wondering, how do I figure out who to talk to, Rachel? I'm not in business yet. Once you know who you want to help, you're going to be able to identify people in your life who fit that mold. So think about your skill set, your background, what it is that you offer that is special and unique. Then think about the person that you want to help. Who are your favorite clients you've ever worked with? Who are the people that you love? Where have you had the most success, whether it was for yourself or for someone else? Sometimes our ideal customer is us 3 years ago, before we learned everything that we've learned. Sometimes it's a customer that we worked with in our corporate world. There can be all sorts of things. So really hone in on your ideal customer. If you need some additional help on this, you need to figure out where to go. Read the blog post on identifying your ideal customer. I'll link it in the notes. There's all sorts of information on there. Get started there. So start with who's your ideal customer. If you're thinking about building a business, that's the place to start. That's the most important thing. And it's what most people end up missing. Okay? So that's number one. From there, once you've figured out who the customer is and what they need and what you're going to offer, then you get to work. So then you can start building out your website. Now, if you're wondering what content you should use, go check out this video that I just did that talks about the content for your website. So make sure you grab that video, link in the notes, and take a look at that, because that's going to walk you through what content to include on your first website, or when you're doing a website revision, or you're launching a new website further on in your business. Then you're going to want to make sure that you're setting up your business entity. So you're going to want to learn about that. There's a blog post on the steps to do when you're first starting your business. Go ahead and grab that link, as well as the video link if you would prefer to watch video on that. So get that set up. Protect yourself financially, because you're building a business, you're trying to help people, but you also want to make sure that you're building it under a separate business entity so that you are protected. If you just build it as a sole proprietor, you're very exposed. It's a little risky. I'm a little risk adverse. That's not an area that I recommend. So I recommend always setting up the business entity. Allocate a little money for that. It varies from state to state. In Arizona, it was approximately $100 to set up the LLC, set up the business account, all of that. It really was not involved. It was not lengthy, and it did not cost a lot of money. So that's a really good place to invest a little money in the beginning. Then you want to think about, okay, now I know who I'm serving. I know what I'm offering. I know that I'm going to build a website. Now you want to think about, what do I need to invest in versus what can I DIY? So DIY, do it yourself. So in the beginning, a lot of people choose to DIY their branding because hiring a professional designer can be expensive. So I personally did not go that route. When I launched, I hired a designer. However, I've been in marketing for 20 some years and I have a lot of friends who are graphic designers. So I hired a friend who did my design work. I'm now on my third designer I've worked with over the years. What you do want to look for is someone that you can work well with, someone who has a background in design, who understands color theory and why to choose certain typefaces and fonts and things like that, because you want to make sure that the branding that you choose is a really good, strong visual representation of your business or you if you're a personal brand. So you may want to go ahead and invest in hiring a designer if you have the budget available. It is one of the areas that I do recommend investing in if you have the budget. Usually it's in the $500 to $1,000 range to have somebody do your branding for you. If you can find someone who is a professional designer who does side work, that's ideal. And there are a lot of them out there. You can look on sites like Fiverr. You can look, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. There's a few others. Asking groups, ask around, ask friends. If you have a friend who's in marketing, ask them, hey, do you know a designer who does stuff on the side? Almost everybody who's in marketing knows somebody. So look around, find a designer. That's really somewhere that I would spend my money personally. You can learn a whole lot about what type of blogs to create, how to build your offers, all of that. You can watch videos, you can watch YouTube, you can listen to podcasts. There's a ton of free information, tons and tons. Now here's where you have to play with and weigh how much time do I want to invest versus how much money do I want to invest? Because sometimes it pays to take the fast route, which is to take a course like the Business Builder's Blueprint that I have, where we walk step by step through how to build a business. And every week we talk about the next thing and we go through it and we have the lesson, you do the homework, and by the end of the course, it's a 12-week course, by the end of the course, you have built and launched your business. So in some instances, it makes perfect sense to go that route. If you have a little bit more money to work with in the beginning, it can help you speed up the process. Otherwise, you're gonna spend time on YouTube, you're gonna spend time reading blog posts, there's nothing wrong with that. You have to do what works in your budget. So if you have the money to take a class, take a class. If you don't, YouTube, Google, Facebook groups, you're gonna learn the information. It's just gonna take a little longer, but it's there and it's free. How much do you really need to start your business? I would say I started honestly with about $1,000 investment. My husband and I put it in and used it as seed money. From that $1,000, I paid for a graphic designer, had business cards printed because I needed business cards. I paid for website hosting to get my website up and running. My very first website was WordPress and I did it myself. My website now is a custom one that my husband built. Marry a guy who knows IT side of things. My husband's an engineer, but he also has an extensive background in coding and software development. If you have a friend who does that, talk to them. Maybe you can trade. Maybe you have a skill set that they need and you can help save a little bit of money there as well. Just work on what you can do. Figure out what you're comfortable with doing on your own. Make a list of the things that you're going to need to launch and then go through them and see, okay, I'm really comfortable with this. I'm pretty artistic. I can probably work on my brand. You know what? I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm going to hire somebody, but I can build my website. There are a couple books I always recommend when you're starting a business. I would invest in those. So I would invest in Profit First, which is a business book on building your financial base for your business and making sure that you get it set up right so that you pay yourself. The other one that I would recommend investing in, and buy a copy of both of them, is building a story brand. So that's going to help you understand how to connect with your consumer, how to speak in their language, and how to address their questions on your website. Those are two I always recommend my students and my clients purchase and read because they're so beneficial. The other thing I'm going to say, get started. Like, don't let having to do everything perfectly keep you from making progress. A website that's done is better than perfect. A business card that is done and looks professional is better than perfect. Sometimes we wait because we feel like we have to invest more, we have to do more, it has to be perfect. It's okay. You're going to make changes over time. I can tell you right now, my branding from 2014 looks nothing like my branding from 2020. I have gone through multiple versions of branding, and I think I'm finally at the point where I really like the direction we're going, but I've also changed my ideal customer. I've shifted and pivoted over time, and you may find the same thing. So start lean, do the minimum that you need to, and then invest as you grow. You don't need to start off by taking every course out there. Start with one, learn how to grow the business, learn how to build it, make sure you have the foundation set up, both the financial, the legal side of it, but also the business side of it. Make sure you understand how to do all of that, and then grow in time. So with me, I have grown and reinvested. Like I said, I follow profit first. I save a percentage of every check that I receive from a client contract or every sale of a course, and I save that and I reinvest it in the business. And when it came time to expand and do more video, I used that money to set up the video studio that you see here. And I bought all the lights and the equipment and the gear and everything I needed. And then when it came time to take a course or join a mastermind, I took the money and I did that. Invest as you grow. You do not need to spend $5,000 or $10,000 to get started. You can start with nothing. You can start with 500. You can start with 1,000. Start where you are today and just get moving. Now, if you're listening to all of this and you're thinking, I'm still not really sure how much money I'm supposed to have to start a business, that's the bottom line. Nobody really knows. Start with what you have and build from there. If you're trying to figure out what kind of business, you've been listening to this and you're like, okay, this is really good. Now I want to figure out what kind of business. Come get your copy of the Business Builder's Guide. It's going to walk you through 5 different types of businesses that you can build for very little money, some of them no money, that don't involve feeling like a sleazy salesperson or looking up old friends or acquaintances from high school and messaging them about your opportunity. All the stuff that nobody really wants to do, it doesn't involve any of that. It's going to break down what the different opportunities are, what types of businesses you can build, and it's going to help you figure out where your starting point is. What is it that you want to build? How are you going to change your life? So request a copy of that. It's in the notes there in the comments section. Make sure you get that copy. Come join me in the Business Builders group. I'd love to have you with me on Facebook. We talk about all these type topics. And just, guys, I want to help you. I want to see you succeed. Make sure you like this video. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you started your business with or what budget you're going to start your business with. And then do me a favor, subscribe. I'd love to have you here. Every week there'll be new lessons on building and marketing your businesses. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon.